show, and today we talk about the road to 2026 as women and what we would want to see. Recently, the Electoral Commission of Uganda released a roadmap for the next elections in 2026, when they will begin, what we will see, in order to strengthen citizen participation in democratic processes in Uganda. Last time we discussed the democracy of this country, but now we go to the bits of it and we sit and see, are we ready for elections? What do we want to see as women? What had we seen that we don't want to see again? What are some of the things that need to change? And we believe that within here we can be able to cause action and call for certain changes. And today I'm joined by the beautiful women. Hellena, do you want to talk about yourself?
Thank you very much for the show. My name is Sakisa Hellena, and I'm a programs lead at Dwona initiative, and also a member of the Period Equality Network that aims at ministerial justice.
Thank you, Hellena. Faridah.
Thank you, Becky.
Faridah, the strong woman.
Faridah, Lule, and I'm happy to let you know that I have started my own organization. It's called Ushahidi Foundation, Uganda. Still undergoing registration, but I know by 2026 we shall be there. And I pray that everything goes well. So, and expect a lot from Faridah.
Yes. Faridah is formerly a person that worked with SEDU and the Women's Situation Room of Uganda. Just like myself, I worked sometime in 2016 with the Women's Situation Room in Uganda, and Faridah was in the 2020 elections. And then I got to the wonderful Deborah.
Thank you so much for having me in the show. My name is Deborah Auma. I'm a Ugandan citizen. I'm a former Miss Ford 2012. I also worked in the Women's Situation Room in 2011. I was deployed in the field, specifically I covered Mukono district. And I'm a public policy analyst. Thank you for having me in the show.
Welcome, ladies, to the show. And I will go straight to what the ESC said, the objectives of the 2026 roadmap. One of them is strengthen and enhance citizens' participation.
Yeah.
What has been one of the challenges that, as people that have observed elections, faced as citizens have been, in particular women, been participating in these elections? I'll start with you, Faridah.
Thank you, Becky, and everyone and our viewers. Specifically, when we are targeting women and some of the challenges that they have encountered during elections, they have been consistent. One, first of all, we'll deal with the women who want to participate as leaders, to participate in different elective positions. In their political parties, they are fought, even that space, that small space, they find it so hard to get through to those big elective positions. So you see that the political parties themselves really have to organize themselves to make sure that they give these women a good platform to ensure that everyone is given enough space to participate, and the level playing field, it has to start from there also. The political parties themselves have to level their playing field and make sure that the women are given good space to make sure that they compete with them and they are not fought at that level. When we come to the local woman, I'm going to deal with the woman who is in the village, who is actually participating in who would like to participate in the elections. Most of these programs don't reach that woman because she's in the garden. By the time she comes back home, already some of those programs have passed. And the time the Electoral Commission maybe rolls out voter education, the messages, they're on TV, and this lady has no time to watch TV. Maybe she doesn't even have TV. Those who have TV will even sit maybe at night to make sure that they watch, they can follow. But even the messages, sometimes they're in English, they're not in her local language. So she will find it hard to actually move and catch up with what is going on. Those that are translated in the local language are usually maybe on radio, and also those that are aired on TV are very fast. They're aired very fast, so she's not able to pick up. So you'll see that she does not even know what's going on. In fact, one time we're in Kagoma, I was observing elections. On election day, I found women just doing their way, doing their things. So I asked them, aren't you going to vote? I said, what is happening? Imagine an election is happening in their area, but they don't even know that there is an election that is taking place.
Yes.
So it's not only on women, but also other people. So we need to make sure that we have stakeholders engagement and we see how we can actually punch up this.
You've talked about the issue of stakeholders, and I'll come to you, Hellena. As a CSO, as an organization, have you been given an opportunity from the Electoral Commission, or on voter education, on what else, as personally, have you ever interfaced with the Electoral Commission to know how to vote, how to, what the procedure is?
I think it is to a very small extent.
Personally, let's start with personally.
Yes, personally, to a very small extent, because as she said, you really see that the information that is rolled out, the civic voter education rolled out, it is not simply illustrative even to me, a person. I have to now internalize it myself, and I'm like, oh, it's supposed to be like this, supposed to be like this. But now if you put it into the picture of a rural woman or a rural person who does not have the capacity to internalize this information very well, then that means they are not getting the opportunity that they are going to participate in the election. So it is just going back to your question, it is high time that even when they say stakeholder participation, they have to really mean it. Meaning it how that we should bring on board the CSOs, we should bring on board the judiciary, we should bring on board the police and tell them, you know what, this is your mandate during the election, this is your mandate during the election, this is what you do, this is what you're supposed to do, and this is how you're supposed to help the normal citizen participate and maybe organize, this is what you're supposed to do while observing the election, especially for the media people. For the police, this is how you're supposed to do, not to violate people's human rights. So I think it is high time that even when they put it on the paper that they are going to enhance stakeholder participation, it is high time that they really mean what they are really saying, because you see that even when they say that the CSOs, the media, the police will come on board, there are some parties of these stakeholders that limit the citizen participation. For example, the media has the authority to rule out the information, to say this is what you're supposed to do to vote, this is what you're supposed to, and then for the police, you're supposed to protect people while they are in the voting ground, but it seems that's not what is done.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Hellena. Deborah.
Yes.
As a person that has been in elections, I know our journey in these elections of this country, from the presidential level to the members of parliament to the local council elections. How then do we see 2026? Is it going to be volatile? Is it going to be like the past elections? What do you anticipate for 2026?
Wow. I'm not good in anticipations. And being a Christian, I don't always wish bad.
Yeah.
But I want to say our population has come a long way. I think, generally speaking, the population is politically active.
Yes.
That one you can't wish it away. And they know there will be election in 2026. They could even be actually having an idea of who the presidential candidates will be. But I think right now, given what is going on in most of our political parties, it also doesn't augur well with the population, because that adds into confusion. When you see currently what is going on in the Forum for Democratic Change, it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
NT, we are sure Mugisha is there, but we don't know, is he coming? Will he be a presidential candidate? Because we don't see them at the countryside. Maybe they are doing it silently, I don't know, but within the main media, I don't see it. Noop, of course, you see them being active.
Yes, Noop is
but
really
also
active.
They are mainly politicking around their same opposition kind of area. They are not getting into the NRM side, while NRM, for them, they are getting inside the other side.
Yes.
So you see people saying, see, Muzei, when I say Muzei, we are meaning the president. Muzei had promised to chew opposition as a Sumbusa, and I think it is coming to pass. So now you're discussing the man's strategy or aim that he had and is achieving, but what are you doing as citizens? So that also does. But 2026, I really pray that it doesn't go volatile, because it speaks volumes when you see an opposition party that has been in opposition, the main one, descend to what it is right now. It is room for worry, because even if you're an NRM, you wouldn't want to have a weak opponent that is becoming violent with his own people. And so you're like, so what happens when they meet with the other real opponents from outside the party? What then happens? What kind of clash do you expect? So I would only wish that as citizens, I think we need to speak to strengthen our political parties. Strong political parties also give a strong democracy in the country. I wouldn't wish to be a candidate and I'm in a field with or without you. You get it? How do I emerge a winner in that kind of circumstances? You wouldn't wish that. But again, I think as young people and women generally, if things are going bad in the existing political parties, what are we doing? Because there's a room enough time. Should it be time for us to begin discussing another political vehicle for ourselves, other than crying about already spoiled, spilt milk that has poured? What are we doing right now, other than waiting for 2026? Yes, Electoral Commission has done their mandate. It's their mandate to bring out the electoral roadmap. But what are we doing as stakeholders? Political parties themselves, you receive funding, especially those who are represented in parliament based on your numbers. What are you using those funds for? Let it not only be a mandate of Electoral Commission to educate citizens on electoral unioning. What are you doing within your own spaces for your members within you? Because once a shared idea is, once you get educated wherever you are, Becky, you will come and share it with me. Knowledge becomes shareable. So we can't expect all the time, there's kind of things we see our political parties engage in. It does not educate us, the citizens, towards the elections. So we are going to be like, okay, we know my candidate is Faridah. Then I reach on that day and I'm even confused. Okay. So since I love Faridah so much, I think I need to overtake her to show the love. Little do I know, I'm actually spoiling Faridah's
vote.
Because Faridah did not tell me. Deborah, as you love me, when you go there, just tick a small or put a finger right there and don't spoil it. But Faridah knew, she had all the ground. That's why sometimes people had a crowd, I had a crowd, but didn't translate into numbers. Those are some of the things that actually count in. Somebody goes and he begins putting a kiss. Now, like me, I have a lipstick and I kiss and that's already spoiled. But I was trying to show my love to my candidate. Unknown to me, I was doing my candidate. I did service. And also the candidate did not tell me that, my dear, while you love me so much, for us not to spoil things for both of us, do A, B, C, D. So let this civic education be for each and everyone's responsibility in this country.
In Padel, there's a voter who went to vote. Instead of putting a tick, he just put, I love you.
Exactly.
So it became what?
Invalid.
Yes. So it happens. What she's saying, it happens. People need to be really sensitized.
Yeah, and let it not be just a mandate of the Electoral Commission. Let it be our own, everyone's responsibility. Let's keep educating each other. They say one by one makes a bundle.
Yes. You've talked about voter education, and this is where we need also to chip in. I remember in 2016 when we were doing the Women's Situation Room and we were going out teaching people, the women woke up early to go and vote. And when they did not find, the things very ready, they would start calling and saying, where are you? Because they're energetic. There is that energy you get during campaigns. I don't know where it comes from. And people start fighting over funny things.
Yeah.
And, when they are taken to court, they ask them, what were you fighting for? You're in court. How then do we sit with our people and say, okay, I know this is elections and what is political is persona, but these are your boundaries.
Yes.
These are your boundaries. We don't want to see, because we have so many people that are in prison or are going to court because of elections. How do we ensure that our women are not beating up people? Faridah.
I think when we roll out, when we say Electoral Commission rolling out its roadmap, it's not just on paper, it's not just on TV, it's not about, yes, we have rolled out. When we finish an election, what do you really not make notes on the challenges that you've encountered, you've gone through? Because I remember when they were doing an evaluation, the guy who was coming, there's a guy who came and interviewed me, and was in a rush. He wasn't even serious on evaluating or getting the information. So they really have to look at the elections that we've just completed. What are some of those challenges? So how do we handle those challenges? So you see that when you look at that road, that now this is the road we are actually taking. You'd see those challenges and how to encounter those challenges and how to deal with those issues. So the women, most people, the characters that mess up the other election, you will see that the other characters that will also mess up this other coming election. And there's no one is doing anything about it. Reason is that no one is taking responsibility of what is happening. So Electoral Commission, in the past election, there was insufficient voter education. And you would see this happening, that everyone, most people didn't even know what is going on. Like, are we going to vote using our phones? Because they said no going to the polling station, as in because of the COVID-19. So that cuts across, that you'd see people, everyone assumes power. You'd see this person has come to vote, but he will start directing the presiding officer. Presiding officer, this person is an agent of a political party. But instead of sitting there to actually take care of his role, and even he doesn't know that he's supposed to be an agent. This is why I end. You would see there was an election in Barara. I was in Barara in 2021, and the polling officer, who is supposed to keep law and order, was trying to tell the presiding officer what to do. He was trying to guide and was trying to decide, to make a decision on a ballot. And he was seated. Actually, he was standing, but when a contradiction came on a ballot paper, here a polling officer came to make a decision. That is completely wrong. So during voter education and civic education, we need to guide everyone. This is your role. Civil society are not supposed to intervene. Uganda Human Rights Commission is supposed to maybe intervene because you have that mandate. Electoral Commission, this is your role. Police, security. But you'd see that security is even overtaking Electoral Commission. So what is their role? Everyone has to understand, and that happens during voter education. So everyone has to be taught. Everyone has to be guided. And the messages have to be clear. This is your role. So we'll have maybe a free and fair election, because everyone is playing what they're supposed to do. Yeah. But when you are in an election where there's kavuyo, like what happened in 2021, really there was a lot of kavuyo. You'd see that police is doing this, the army is also coming in, the political parties are also doing this, the civil society is also fighting for, like, it was a space, everyone wanted to enter that space and actually see that they're playing a role, which is completely wrong.
I think I can add something. In Nigeria, the women formed a group called Gender and Election Watch. So they usually come on the round table and they sit down and they see, they learn from the previous mistakes that have happened during an election. But then they have a mechanism that they use, and it's a gender responsive perspective. So they also look at how women's rights have been violated during the election. So I think we can also copy that as a women's movement.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Hellena. For me, and I want to go back to that voting day. I've been in elections since 2016. I've seen my mother go through elections. You see, towards that day, there is some excitement. I have a friend who went for elections, and he was ready and saying, I have the numbers. His opponent came and locked him in the house. People went to vote, and, they want to see you. They locked him in the house. He was not able to vote. And the day before, also, the opponent still went and got his co-op agents and gave them alcohol. They got drunk. By the time people are coming to vote, the election is not there. No one is going to defend that election.
No,
at that
actually,
moment. The declaration forms must not even be there.
Actually, what you're saying, that's what it came back to me, and I said, if we are going to fold our hands and say electoral commission, it's the only one supposed to do civic education. When there are so many actors, to the extent that, by the way, electoral commission does not even know what strategies opponent A, B, C
is going to use,
and they always pull those things at last minute.
Yes.
That you the opponent has no time to turn around events.
Yes.
I remember of a father and a son that were competing for the same political space.
Yes.
The father kept telling the son, leave me to go for my last thing. That the son also said, this is my time. What did the father do? Nobody expected. He waited the eve to an election day, and he went and made a statement on a local radio. Said, me and my son, we have agreed that I'm going to use you, Becky, as an example. Give Becky. It was too late for the son to run around and tell, no, that's not an agreed position.
Yes.
But that was enough. He didn't go through. Neither did the dad. They believed. He said, no, we've sat as a family and we have agreed since I led. But you see, the undoing he has done to his son. The kind of even enmity within that family.
That they will never recover from.
So you find that people have strategies that even you can actually be the candidate.
Yeah.
And your agents have certain tactics they are going to deploy that you do not know.
Yes.
And in a state that you're even taken to court aftermath, you're even in yourself like, did this really happen?
Yeah.
But it happened because your agents did it, but without you sanctioning it. So people become so hyper, like you said. People are hyper, everyone is doing this. Excitement is beyond, they are willing to even die or kill for this candidate. And the candidate is not even aware about all this. And is not in total control of his own what? Agents.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Can we take this civic education way above electoral commission as a body and get to know that we all have a stake? What are your do's and don'ts for each stakeholder in this? Maybe even sometimes we could be putting a burden to a candidate who also does not know what to do, but he has brought himself into these elections and does not know, what am I supposed to tell my agents, what am I supposed to tell my voters, what are the do's and don'ts. Then you find an excited forces state. They say news that sells this negative news. So how are they reporting responsibly?
Yes.
Because sometimes such boring news don't make news to the media houses, and somebody wants to sell their media outlets. And the police, we are talking about the police. Some of our brothers and fathers and uncles in these forces totally don't know actually also their responsibilities. And it is wrong for us to assume because somebody is in a certain space or office that they know it all. It's also not true. Who educated them? Was there a specific target to educate each and every person?
Yes.
Because sometimes I could actually be coming in, like for example, she said, this police officer was giving orders. And to the best of that police officer's knowledge, for him, he knows he's doing the best to sort out whatever situation is there. Because nobody could have educated him or her that for you stop here. Maybe when you get a complaint, you report to A or B. You remember with our thing of the situation room?
Yes.
For us, we were educated. Once you're in the field and you get something, you either call direct to the hotline that was in the station room, and the women in that room knew who to contact, and everything was diffused and settled and what. So we knew where to stop and where to begin. Can we have such kind of information, such kind of ideas being born and being grown and taken out of such rooms and is taken down there? That would help a great deal. Let the chairman know his roles, the LOC one. We talk about leadership in this country. May we stop focusing on just this leadership on top. Right at the family level, this leadership. I might be a woman and this is my candidate, but my man is on a different candidate. Are you aware that if me, a woman, I can actually drink my own husband from going out the following day to vote? Yes, it is that serious. I can come with love and offer him a cup of his favorite tea. But in that tea, I've added something just to ensure. And you know that even the opponent can actually come to me and give me something. That this person is the strongest opponent the other side. If we can find a way of dealing with him, have something, and I'm like, no, I know his weak areas as a partner. So we must be very, very, we must really take keen responsibility on this voter education and not just box it on electoral commission. Sometimes electoral commission itself could be wanting capacity, and they're even minimal in number. The population of Uganda is too huge for these simple numbers of staff of electoral commission to manage us. And we have a lot of innovative ideas that we are creating to display at the last day that even electoral commission and even this so-called police, they are too few to manage this population.
Yes.
Too few.
That's why you see military police coming in, UPDF, and we need to separate these powers.
Yes.
Because when police is coming in, at least sometimes you know the policeman, you're like, but you, when we are done here, I'll go to your village.
No, but also you see, the way they're trained is different.
Yes.
A policeman knows is keeping law and order, and they are training, they know how to deal with the population.
Yes.
A military policeman, while in his training, is totally trained in a totally different issue, and does not want to know. And for them with the army, they follow order. If the order came from somewhere, their commander somewhere is saying, do this, it is that. Move, it is that. So you're not going, they are not like the police whom will be engaging with you. You is telling you, please leave, and you know why. You need to be explained the why. And it has to keep
This is my right.
You know, this is my, it has all that time to keep listening to you. The other ones don't have that
as
time.
long as they've told him, shoot to kill.
Clear the area, they must clear and secure the area. That is it for them.
But then also, and I want you, Faridah, to come in, we have seen in instances where police has failed with these local people. You know, that excitement has been there since 2016, I can tell you. And I can tell you, when people are angry and you have deployed few police officers, and maybe that is the one thing about...
No, look at the polling stations. You put one police constable to man that police station. With all those numbers of excited people with different interests.
They can turn into animals in one day.
In minutes.
You saw the thing where they were banning, I think, the president's poster. People were angry. Decided to ban the president's poster. And by the way, that's not right in the law. Because he's still president. He's still president. But also, it's like you're saying, if I get you,
you will.
I will ban you. You get it? That's something that is not right, even in human.
It is not, because I think we also need to grow our democracy. That Becky, if I don't support you, I shouldn't wish you bad. We still remain Ugandans. Simply that
civil,
for this time, I do not share into your manifesto, your ideas.
So we need to actually go back to the drawing board and see where should we start from. Because first of all, to our viewers, the institution that is supposed to do civic education is Uganda Human Rights Commission. Uganda Human Rights Commission is supposed to do like ongoing civic education to make sure that they outline what is supposed to be done, your rights and everything, how you're supposed to engage with these institutions.
Is trusted.
But the trust is another thing. But also,
are they doing their mandate?
Are they implementing their mandate? So, and they would want to implement their mandate, but they don't have funding. They don't have enough resources. So it comes up to, I think it's a lot, because if Uganda Human Rights Commission had played its role, then by the time we reach to election cycle, electoral commission starts from there with their voter education. And when they start, they're not starting from a ground zero. They're starting from side, because the community is aware of what they're supposed to do. So they are just polishing. But now you would see that they are supposed to start from zero, yet they don't even have funding. And they're also supposed to do continuous voter education, which does not happen. So you would find these issues happening in each and every electoral cycle. So when you talk about the security officers, that maybe this polling officer cannot even man a polling station, because the crowd is not organized to accept this man. Otherwise, your father will come and say, "Hi, Faridah, I don't see this. Maybe you have not cleaned this, maybe the sitting room." But he doesn't even have a stick. He doesn't even have a gun. But because you've grown up respecting this person, that means that whatever this person will say, you don't even have to go against his rules. So people have grown not to respect police because the way police is operating, even these other security guys, they have been actually respecting the UPDF. When you say UPDF, you see how they are conducting themselves. People just give them respect. But now that they are seeing them engaging themselves in elections, and also you see some bad characters, that's how now the respect for the UPDF will actually also go like the one of police. You would see the prisons. We knew that the prison officers are supposed to be in prison, but you would see them in elections, and no one is explaining why I am seeing a prison officer in an election. And yet, when you go to the Security Act, those other laws that actually govern those security institutions, you see they're supposed to work in harmony. So in electoral commission, during election time, you would see that the police itself cannot manage to be, they don't have the numbers to be deployed everywhere in all police stations. That's why they say, okay, let's look at our sister, the prisons. Can you actually come in and help us? But this person who is from the village, she knows that is supposed to be in prison. What is this person doing here? So only that can cause confusion. But when you go ahead and sensitize people that this is how we operate during the electoral process. And these are our stakeholders, and this is their role during elections. When you see an observer, there is a time when we were in Kagoma actually. These local guys had stoned us. They started stoning us. We had to rush to police. But they were saying they do not understand the role of an observer.
I think I want to agree with you, Faridah, and if I could add, you see, when you take things for granted, you create room for people to play propaganda, and you create, if I had my evil plans to work into that, because I can be like, you see that prison officer, and you see those observers, they call themselves, no, those are the ones actually they are brought to steal your vote. So you giving me an opportunity to incite the public. And yet if you had educated that public would have been empowered enough to tell you, no, these people's work is A, B, C, D, E.
They have already
So we take things a lot for granted, by the way.
Now let's look at, because we've talked about stakeholders, the role of the media. The media is to disseminate information. And information is power. Before even we want to and post. When you see somebody, Hellena is going to be the MP, let's say, of Nakawa, and the next thing you see Helena's nudes. Before we know it, Hellena stole somebody's man. But this is not verified information. Sometimes this is character assassination. Sometimes there are even lies. Some of them are true. Even there is photoshopping things, people. But then you see that people, social media and mainstream media, pick it up. Your opponent goes and pays. In the long run, are we having a media that is trustworthy?
I think even now with the coming in of social media, I really sympathize with the mainstream media. Because in most cases you find by the time they are reading their news, we already got the news. And as to whether it was a true story, and by the very few of us these days are like, is it true? Let me verify. And you keep now waiting for the mainstream media to break it. So when it doesn't, you're like, maybe it is not here to watch. But something has already been spread and circulated. So, and now when we talk about social media, it's simply you and me with a smartphone to create. So I'm going to sit here. So in a way, we are expecting the mainstream media to regulate what they also cannot. It is out of their hands. It's already actually something they are trying to deal with because it's a threat to their own space. So I am here. Becky, you're going to be my opponent. If I know how to crop things, I will surely crop you and crop you with another man if it is the only thing. Because also when I'm in this campaign, my only interest is how to win it. How I win is none of my my concern. So if it means cropping me with you in some compromising position, and that will in a certain community it will work against you, I am like, I think I will do this.
Yes.
So it again comes back to us, the Ugandans, the citizens. How morally are we degenerated to the extent that we no longer have ideas to sell to people of what you want to do to your community?
Sell gossip.
Yes, that gossip sells and wins you a position.
But for me, I think we really have to go back on the drawing board and know what is good for us, because you see even these other mainstream media houses that you really want to look up to have also messed up themselves.
And degenerated.
One, because they are not paying well, they're journalists, and everyone is trying to navigate through and do what they feel like. Yeah, if I do this, I'll get something from this person. So, like for example, for me, I'll mention some of the TV stations, like maybe NTV. You would see that when you look at their quality of work is really good, and there is some professionalism. But then you look at these other media. There are some other media houses which have really failed to actually have professionalism in their products. So you see, they will find it hard for the community to actually believe. Maybe the community would actually prefer to believe in social media, or to prefer to the new media than even mainstream, because even the mainstream media has refused to standardize themselves into. In fact, when you look at the media in Kenya, in Nairobi, it's totally different from the media houses here. You see that there's really some professionalism in Kenya and some professionalism in Tanzania. I'm just looking at our neighborhood. So we really need to style up everyone, all of us, the civil society organizations, electoral commission, the government itself.
Yeah.
Because when you see that today you've come up with, you are saying, let's do this, and then at the end of the day, it's you, the very government, that is actually contradicting yourself. So what do you expect from people down? So when you see a mother maybe going to dance in Bikesa, then what do you expect from your girls? They'll say, mother, even you are doing this. So we should come back to the drawing board and streamline everything, and then bring life to normal. Otherwise, when you look at
but how do we streamline this? How do I verify information that Hellena here, MP candidate to be, is not stealing Faridah's husband, but also Faridah's father? How do I verify that information?
You're not even trained. You're not even
using social media.
Let us agree that bloggers and social media these days sells you as a candidate more than the so-called mainstream media you're trying to look at.
Yes.
And it's world over. You saw when Biden and Trump and CNN, so you trusted CNN so much, but also it turned out it is now who is able to pay more. If I get to know Becky is such a good blogger and her source is trusted, once I have on my side and I give you all the money, she's ready to do all the propaganda there is, whether bad or good, true or false, as far as the population falls in. That's why I said the problem we have here is the core interest is getting to a certain office. How person gets there is now nobody's business, and neither the voters also questioning how they are getting there. It's not until somebody has arrived, then we begin asking questions. But where were you to ask those questions?
Sometimes even enabled
them to go.
Then even the so-called bloggers who were supporting the so-called candidate come out to say, oh, you see, we did this, but it's too late. And then the circle repeats itself.
Man, elections. Let's talk about voter bribery. Voter bribery.
Yeah.
We have had instances where what is your price? Everybody has a price, they say. And voter bribery looks like, oh, money, oh, this and this, but there are people who are threatened to vote. How do we ensure that in this country we tell people to vote people that will do right by them, instead of people that are lying to them? Because if I've invested 1 billion in that Kalulu, I have to get it out before I come back to you. Realistically, business is business. If why am I investing 1 billion? Yet I'm going to work for you.
Unfortunately, the population doesn't look it that way.
Yeah,
They see Becky is rich, and when she reaches there, she's not needy.
Yes, she has to. Yeah.
She will continue powering to us. While Hellena, Bambi, she's so poor that when she reaches there, her first priority is going to be herself.
Yes.
How to also arrive at the level
Of Becky.
Becky.
Yeah.
So while for us we see it as bribery, the population is actually having a total different parameters that they're gauging people. And of course, it is a fact. If I invest in you, I need to get back my investment.
Yes.
Because I've taken this as a business. I put this, I've calculated, because it is public knowledge. I know this office that I'm running for, how much I'll be earning. And so I even at the back of my mind, I know where to stop. But also you find, by the way, bribery is not only disadvantageous to the voters. We have seen people who were doing very well outside politics, active politics. And after joining
Politics.
Yeah.
the person
Things
has changed and gone worse. Because broke completely. Because if they were doing, I don't know whether there's a demon that once you start to spend, okay, let's call it bribing. Once you start, they keep giving you. By the time you go back, your business empire that you had
is
down, and you can't come back to where it was.
Mm.
You take your family to a level that they were not, simply because the urge to acquire power led you into mismanaging all the family resources. I know of one politician one time who told us that I'm in politics, but my dear ones, if you get to hear me saying I want to sell ABCD, just simply lock me up, take me to Butapeka. Because at that point, it is not I'm not in my rightful mind. After the election, bring me out and I'll thank you for it. But if you leave, the pressure alone that I'll be acting on is not me acting on it. So you find that bribery is for both the bribe, it's so bad for both the so-called briber
and the politician,
because it takes you to no level. You get into people get
sell their lands, their cows, they get out of their houses.
And also, by the way, sometimes you do that and these same voters don't give you the vote.
The voters are,
and if they gave you, because they expected you to power the way you powered the first time. Remember, now you're trying to refill to what you emptied. And by trying to fill, you did not go back to them. So when you come back, they are looking into another one now who is fresh with fresh money. So they will not even take you back, and you have gone to zero.
For me, I think I do not blame the voters. I also still blame the people who are supposed to implement the laws. The laws are clear on voter bribery. But who has ever been actually nabbed?
No.
Apart from, and leave alone getting to the courts, and someone claims this person gave out some money, gave out iron sheets, gave out this, and this person bribed voters, and then the court says, okay, I've cancelled this election, and then they announce a by-election. Then these very people...
Faridah, can I help you somewhere? You see, our laws are made, but there are certain gaps to exploit.
Yes, loopholes.
Now, Electoral Commission has announced 2026 roadmap. Communities, churches, what they call them fundraisings. So if I'm an interested candidate, at this point, I know that when I go and offer such amount of millions to this church, at that point, because they have not yet gotten nominated, I have not broken any electoral law. And nobody will take me to court. So I am going to spend so much in those so-called fundraising to the population, like, Becky is the person. Becky has the money. By the time we go into that election, I have already finished to set my ground with my so-called bribery, but disguised as fundraisings.
No, they can still make it. They can still say, they can give a period.
Unless you're going to tell.
If you actually come out clear and say, we are going to have, if voter bribery starts from the time when we launch the electoral cycle. So there is these other people who are going to bribe voter to do their own activities beyond the electoral cycle.
It comes back to what I am trying to tell you. If Electoral Commission said the electoral cycle starts next month from 1st October to say 2026 January, from 29th of September to January, the ones who know these politicians have money and the candidates will come, will organize those so-called fundraising before that date named.
Yes.
And that is where people
Will
go.
you stop me from going to fundraise?
No, you can't.
No, will you even stop me from organizing my fundraiser? We, the community, we know this is how we get from
We
these
are
people. This is the
building.
moment.
So
We are
we
developing.
can still find a solution. We can still find a solution to this problem. How? Just make sure that we can actually amend the laws and say who is supposed to be in parliament, whom as a country, who is this person that you want to be in parliament? Maybe a retired civil servant, and we're going to pay this person just allowance. We're not going to pay this person a salary. So this person is maybe a civil servant who is retired and does not need the allowance, does not need
The young people will tell you that
yeah.
one is old and old-fashioned and is taking over our time.
No, first of all,
is
we have the
okay.
numbers as young people. Whom are you
Yes,
deciding
what
for?
are you telling
What are you
us?
telling us?
As
Really,
young
the
people, we
numbers?
have the numbers.
We cut the salary of MPs.
And who told you that a retired civil servant doesn't need money? He can actually be more of a pauper than the one who is not even
If he
retired.
wants money, it is okay as government. Like in Rwanda, as government, we set the scale. If the salary for
Faridah.
not in this government, I'm saying we can really make up and
reform.
say and reform.
Yeah.
I don't know, but at least we can do something to actually find a solution to voter bribery. And the one solution I'm proposing is that we cut the salary for all MPs. And we say we are going to give, if you want, people will not bribe.
Actually,
How are you going to bribe when you know that you're going to get 500,000?
that assertion you're trying to say that it is the sitting MPs that bribe. But I have proof that Becky, a new entrant, vying for a political office, has money and she's bribing before entering yet to enter parliament.
Bribing
So
because she knows
where did she get it from?
She's bribing because of the current situation. Because they know that the salary for MPs is 32 million.
So cutting that salary cannot sort out what you're trying. Can't address.
But also that salary, if you're to see how those... Let's not only look at MPs. Let us look at our poor resident. Let us look at our local council people. LC1, LC2,
councillors.
Those ones. And them, and what they earn. But also their allowance that they earn. Really, do you think somebody is going to say, okay, let me cut my own salary? Those guys allocate, they do appropriate by passing the budget. So you want the person that passes the budget to give himself little money
But also
to come
I
and
think,
monitor your projects.
They can't.
But also I think you can't get finances totally off during elections. But can we have a guiding saying that once you're running an election, you'll need money for A, B, C, D, E. These are also the amounts for particular offices. You can say, for example, LOC1, let a person not go beyond this amount. Let this one not go beyond this amount. If you go beyond, then questions should arise and begin auditing you. But because you cannot totally say no finances, it can't happen. You have a campaign team that you need to keep transporting around, to keep giving water, accommodation, food. I'm now looking at, let's assume these ones who run for the national offices. Even in that constituency, you have people running for you, manning for you villages as your campaigners. Do you think that person is going to work free of charge, or you need some allowance for that person? So you can't totally... If
they are even working, giving you themselves, they need something to eat.
And
they
also,
need to be taken care of.
And also, usually, a smart politician knows who an opinion leader is in every village. So once I have that person in my camp, and I give them this, I will call it is facilitation, and before it's ICE is facilitation. But I know once that opinion leader says support so and so, automatically those votes will come to me.
For me, the reason
so you can't take finances totally out of elections.
I'm not saying finances out, but I'm saying that let's reduce the salary. Because when you look at the councillors, do you see a lot of voter bribery when it comes to that level? Even people don't even pay attention to whom I'm going to vote. They will just be there actually mobilizing people to come and vote for them. But this is because the allowance for a councillor is just so small that people don't even feel.
Yet they are also involved in bribing.
Exactly.
So now is the issue real about salary?
No.
It's about power.
Yes.
They have the power. they can actually see what they did to the Lord Mayor before, not this time, when they actually ganged against the Lord Mayor. So they have the power.
But you see,
But the issue is, as there is a big problem when it comes to voter bribery.
Okay.
And the law has not really come up to be tightened and to be implemented to this its last. Because when you see that the DPP, okay, when a court decides and then they say there is a by-election, no one takes it up that this person really committed a crime. Yet it is a crime according to the law. It's a crime. We expect the DPP to come up with to come for this guy, maybe a woman or lady or whoever is a culprit, and then they go for that person. They start from there. This is a case. It is a crime you've committed. Then they start on you. They have evidence because court already has they have already presented evidence to court. But you see, even that whatever that section is also. It is also silent. Once the Court of Appeal says, yes, okay, we have decided on this on this case, we have a by-election. It ends there, and then we go for another a by-election. We go for another by-election. Then in that other by-election, you would see that they still voter bribery in that even another by-election.
That shows you that it is entrenched in society.
So the truth is voter bribery exists.
yes,
But we are not, we haven't yet really identified what is the root cause to address it. We are just trying to touch around, but that cannot be
challenge that we have. Now that you've talked about the root cause, we want to talk about the root cause of stealing votes. Those declaration forms, if you're not very careful, you might have the numbers and people have voted for you, but you did not guard your vote very well. How then are we going to ensure, as polling agents, the declaration? You know, you can be having a good polling agent and somebody brings 50 million for them. Yeah. And they take the declaration.
I told you people have strategies.
At that last time when they're about to announce, and these ESC people also, they are not that keen sometimes. They look away while they are looking for the box and somebody can take away the declaration form. How do we then ensure that we get this away? Who are we going to work with to ensure that your vote, Helen, MP, let's say Nakawa, is not taken away? It's not, you guard your vote jealously, even at the last hour and the numbers.
I think this still goes to the voter civic education. But then for you, for the voter bribery or the voter buying of the votes, it still goes to us, the individuals.
Stealing of the vote at the last, we have already voted. Closing of voting has now they've closed voting. We have our ticked ballot papers. Yes. We have our declaration forms. You've reached power, they've announced a different person. Sometimes even the numbers that you have in the constituency, hey, are not the what that is
also, if I may ask, if I may pose a question.
Yes.
Do we all deploy agents that know how to read and write?
That's the thing.
Do we?
No. First of all, before you even go to those who
because sometimes I could be actually reading the counting the ballots and what I eventually transcribing those declare, because the declaration forms are majorly now you the agent and then I think the electoral staff.
Plus the voters, they be there out there.
No, actually the voters know that while ballots were counting, Becky got many. But is it true that finally what I wrote for your agent was it the true thing that the voters know? So the agent would be now carrying something that is not true and has not even cross-checked.
Yes. I think that's
you get it.
Yes.
No, let's get it.
And they will be telling the candidate, no, we won there. And it is true. You won, even the other like population knows you won. But the paper that in case you must even seek legal redress, that declaration form is the most important, only to find what was written there was totally different from what was read. And the poor agent signed.
Yes.
What we have to look at is, first of all, do all candidates have the capacity to deploy 100% agents on all polling stations? For example, if we have Kampala Central, how many polling stations are in Kampala Central? And you as a candidate, do you have polling agents at all the polling stations? Do you have that capacity? Some don't have, some are new candidates on group and they don't even have the capacity to deploy. Because deploying means it's not only having people on a polling station. It takes a lot. You have to secure the letters, appointments letters to each and every candidate. Two, they're supposed to be trained. You're supposed to train them on what they're supposed to pick. Each and every candidate, once you come on a ballot paper, you're supposed to have a declaration form. So your agent has to pick a declaration form. So what is they have to agree at the polling station what is on all those declaration forms. It's the right figure they have, each and every one, all the agents. But you find that some people, some candidates even get drunkards to sit at the polling station. He does not even know what's happening. He has no idea what a declaration form is. He can't even write. He can't even sign. So at the end of the day, how do you ensure that your vote is protected at that level? One, by having at all polling stations, by deploying 100%. Make sure that they bring the declaration forms that are signed by all agents, which is signed by the presiding officer, and that is the true figure that you're going to go with. So if you don't have that, after that level, you can protect your vote. But when it goes to, there is also a new tactic of actually vote bribing, of vote rigging. The results that are being taken to the tally center are not can be different from what you actually have. You might have a declaration form, but what the presiding officer is reading is different. And that was executed properly in Kayunga. You remember, the candidate kept on standing, actually seeking for guidance, that the declaration form I have says something from what you are reading. But the candidate was not given what? An opportunity. She was not given the audience. So it's a really big problem that we really need to engage as stakeholders. In fact, the Election Commission was asked, how are you ready to actually manage electoral practices? And the answer was that some matters are beyond
their measure.
So it's a big deal, but at least we are not saying that the candidates cannot play their part. Play your part and make sure that you protect your vote. That is when you can actually go to court, because it does not end at the Electoral Commission table. There's also another audience, the courts. So prepare your things. You go for elections when you're prepared, really. But you find that some candidates do not even know the total number of polling stations that are in their area where they are contesting from.
That's true.
So how will you go to court to actually present when you cannot? One thing I urge all candidates, that when you are preparing to go for an election, prepare yourself, you first. You as an individual, prepare yourself. When you prepare yourself, then you can prepare the voters. Then you can be able to actually be a good representative. One, what do you want? What do you need? You need to know the total number. When there's demarcation of polling areas. They don't even know that it's happening. Even the candidates who are going to actually contest, they do not know that actually the demarcation is actually going to happen. Even the observers who are going to observe, they do not know about this process. But these are the processes that you are supposed to follow as the uninterested party. You're supposed to follow all the processes, because at the end of the day, they affect you. So you would come knowing that this polling station, I've actually given my agent, I actually taken my agent to this polling station. That polling station does not even belong to your area. But since you did not actually participate in the demarcation,
by the it happens, Becky. It is true.
You deploy this person at the wrong place. So you need to know that this is my area. How many polling stations? Where do I pass? Where exactly
do I go?
So then the next step, how do I identify my agents? Then you identify your agents. Then you begin deploying them at different polling stations. But don't only deploy. Take them through the whole process. That come in the morning, this is what is supposed to be done, this is what is supposed to be done. At the end of the day, you are supposed to carry this declaration form and bring it to me. Then you would see that they are not even ready to actually get those other issues.
Faridah, sometimes out of the excitement of somebody has said, "Ooh, we've won," they go to the bar and drink.
And
Yeah,
then
they
No,
take
but
a
because it comes back to what she's saying.
Mm.
You didn't educate your
Polling
agent that you don't leave until
Till
we
it
are
is
declared.
over. You get it. Then also you did not even ascertain the number of voters
that
in
you
a polling
have in that
station A,
Yes.
and the person does not know. So when they are saying you've won by 300, unknown to you because you did not know the number, maybe that's not even reached 300. The other one, you've given the other people a gap to add. And now how do you come with your numbers that are also beyond the voters number, and the other one also is beyond? You've already created a confusion. So because you didn't ascertain, you're less interested. When they are telling you, come now, we are transferring names, the candidate is totally disinterested in all that process, waiting for the last minute.
Yes.
like when you see the display of voter register, you'd see that people are not even interested in that type. And let me just give you the best scenario. When there was this first election, the by-election of Kantinti, Chagulani, and so on. So when I went to Chadondo to observe that election, I decided to visit Kantinti. So I asked him, are you really a voter? Where are you going to vote from? You know, Faridah, I'm going to vote from the polling station somewhere here. Okay. So for me, as you know, Faridah, I went to the returning officer. I want to know where these guys are going to. First of all, are they voters in Chadondo?
Yeah.
Then he said, Faridah, candidate is not a voter. So,
and yet he's saying
he's a candidate. He was a candidate. So
Where are you a candidate that cannot vote in the area?
Wait, and he's not even sure where he's supposed to vote from.
Because he's not a voter in that area. He's not a
No, then he would have even been kind enough to tell you, Faridah, I'm not going to vote because of
this and this.
But don't say I am going to. You ask him where is.
No, because he didn't know.
So that this is the returning officer tells me that this person is not actually.
Are you seeing how confused even candidates are?
Now that one is not
After
confusion. That is Muyaism.
That's when no, these people.
That's Muyaism.
Even candidates are confused.
They are confused.
That one is
And you have
Muyaism.
to,
He clearly knew he's not a voter in that area.
Exactly.
You should have answered someone who came to you that I am not. And of course, it's also not illegal for me because I can be a national voter belonging to any area and I choose to run for a political office in a different local area. Which is very okay. So for me, I would just say, here I came to represent my people, but nationally, I'm a voter in this place.
But he didn't say
simply
that.
answers. But when you say that, you see, that's Muyaism.
He didn't say that. And even the voters themselves didn't know that she's not a voter in Chadondo. But it brings you back to the people that these other candidates, everyone has to actually take responsibility. That you are not asking me, on TV, maybe on Chizindaro. You want to be voted for. Take that initiative to say, please, this is how they vote. Don't just say, how? You know that you are even asking me that you njagala kaluluko, but you are not sure that I'm actually a voter. You are not sure that I am a voter in this area, but you are just moving around. You people give me votes.
So you went to people even who were not supposed to be your.
So as a candidate, organize yourself. This is what I'm saying.
Prepare yourself.
Make sure that you actually have your voter register. You have it.
You've demarcated your constituency well. You know the boundaries.
You know the voters in your area.
Yes.
So that
who is not a voter, who is a voter?
Yes.
What do they need to go to vote?
By the time you go
and you know the local community by there, don't think those people are stupid.
They know.
You will be crossing borders and like, now look at this Faridah. Does she know that her constituency does not cross there? Because she was there begging those people to.
But what
then they see you as a confused leader seeking their mandate.
Because for them, they know they have even participated in that.
Yes, for them, they know very well.
So you see that these candidates themselves have a problem. So you don't just go on radio, like maybe you see them on Larry's. Banange Mtuwa Kalulu, give us we know we can represent you better, but you have not educated, you have not sensitized the public. You've not actually even 5 minutes. 5 minutes are enough for you as a candidate, even a presidential candidate. I have never seen a presidential candidate sensitizing their voters on how to actually vote. I'm taking you to that level.
Yes.
That whenever these people get Kazindalo,
all they are
to
saying,
speak,
vote me.
they will
Vote
say,
me.
vote me into this office,
Yeah.
vote me in this office.
Yeah.
But they have never even spent 5 minutes to say, you know what, when you go to a ballot paper, this is how things are done. When you go, you know, when you go to a polling station.
Actually, what they say, they will say, I am number so and so on the ballot. This is my symbol.
And they keep changing their name. Today it's Becky, tomorrow
changing name is okay. But what they are obsessed with things which don't help them at the long run with the voters. Because just telling me, my symbol is this phone and a pen.
Taking a pen.
So have you told me how to do it right? You have
it goes back to what you were saying, that how do we help electoral commission? So as a candidate, as political parties, when you are outlining your budgets, make sure that you have that small budget to make sure that you supplement on the voter education.
And most of them have secretariats.
Exactly.
Put some secretarial staff to do that work.
But their aim is just, their main objective is just to get power.
Yes.
How they get it, that's how they end up actually bribing voters.
Yes.
And actually someone goes to vote, they don't even know that, you know, I had a friend, and the friend is actually has masters. But she said, for me, I reached there, I didn't even know whom to vote. I just said, let me just vote nope. You know? Because
and as we conclude,
yes.
and we want our candidates to be ready. Our candidates sometimes also, they say things that incite the public into violence. In your parting shots, what are your messages to candidates in peaceful elections? Yes, Deborah, start with you.
Okay, for me, my parting shots will be, let's act responsibly, and starts with you, the candidate. You know, they say, John Maxwell said, everything starts and ends with leadership. Can we have an issue-based campaign? Let's not talk bad about your opponent. Remain respectful, because at the end of the day, when you get into that office, you're going to represent even me, who did not support you or agree with you or stood against you. Because if we must find a good trajectory of our democracy, it is us that build it. You're not going to expect anybody to come from outside and design for you and build for you a better democracy other than ourselves. And it starts with us. It starts with you, the candidate. Talk well of your, just lay out your strategies that you want to do, and let us, the voters, analyze whether what you're telling us is feasible or not. Even when we don't agree with you, let's remain respectful of each other. Let's stop name calling. Let's stop being, this being so much anger and violent and trying to incite the public against each other. And yet at the end of the day, Bam, it is us, the grassroots, that suffer, not even them, the candidates. And it is not good. As sometimes you've seen, for example, in Kenya, people have killed each other and the leaders go and do a handshake. That's why they say in politics, there are no permanent enemies and permanent. And it's such a true story to us citizens. We must learn a lesson and get a leaf out of it. Whoever wants to speak violence should actually be, even us as citizens should actually call out that person and say, no, can we run this campaign in ABCD? Let's not be afraid to call out our people, even if you love them so much and somebody's going wrong. Tell that person, no, let's have boundaries. This is our only country that we have. There's no any other country. And we must love it, support it, and grow it together.
Thank you so much, Deborah. Faridah, your call to action to candidates in regards to having peaceful elections.
First of all, what they should know that they don't vote. So yes. And for me, I still believe in the slogan of the Women's Menstruation Room, that peace is in our hands.
Yeah.
You know that if you have a peaceful election, you'll either win or lose. But you lose peacefully, or you will win peacefully, and you still have your relatives, you still have your friends, you still have your voters. But once you cause violence, you have violent actions, you'll end up having your relatives. You never know who the action will actually end up hurting. So like the woman who lost her child, she was just running from the market going back home. She ended up losing her child. She had no idea what's going to actually happen in that scenario, in that period, that hours before she reaches the tax bar. So each one of you should take that responsibility, that you never know who is going to be hurt at the end of that day. Is it my son? Is it my daughter? Is it myself? So that alone should guide you and make sure that you speak well. You avoid all those scenarios that will cause havoc in this process, because we are in this together and we have to actually get out together.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Faridah. Hellena.
For the members who are going to be standing for electoral positions, I think it's high time that we acknowledge coexistence of each other in the communities, that we have to have respect for each other, but also in that very process, we also have to exercise emotional intelligence on how we deal with each other, because at the end of the day, we need each other, and we still have to know that politics is just a game.
Thank you so much. It's always nice hearing those conversations. The political is personal. For those that have been watching us, the ball bounces back to you, and we say, what does democracy mean to you? And that determines what you're going to do during elections. If democracy means to you fighting, you're going to fight. If democracy means to you peace, you're going to have peaceful elections. If democracy means to you money, you're going to have money during elections. But it goes back to you and saying, what do I want in my community? What do I want for my people, for my family, and the society at large? Peace is in your hands. Until next time, I'm Turyatunga Rebecca Juna. Bye-bye.